This is the ultimate day.
2 months traveling on the road, our home is where the traffic flows. We'll bring you everywhere we go and sleep in a freezing cold van because we're a little bit crazy, but you'll see that it's worth it.
We just passed into Portugal. It was very unceremonious, but here we are. And there's a sign for IKEA. Ooh, we love IKEA. Well, we are definitely back in Portugal. And it's a good thing we pulled in here because we found a great campsite that's super cheap because Portugal. And we're gonna get some really good food right now because Portugal.
Yeah, honestly, Portugal has been my favorite country.
Here my bifana no prato and fried calamari, and it's so good. We're in for the night. We're just gonna do some editing and blog writing and things, and then we'll be raring to go tomorrow so that we can get this bank situation figured out and then head to Madrid.
Now I look like a human again, so off we go. Gonna dump the gray water.
Decided to stop in Toledo on our way to Madrid because I saw that there's a museum of Manchego cheese and then I looked further into it and Toledo looks amazing, so we're gonna go there. It's about a 5-hour drive and I can't wait. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. We're spending our Valentine's Day driving 6 hours, but the end point is Toledo, so I think it's worth it. Up till now, excluding our minor detour to Portugal, we have been in Andalusia, which is a province in southern Spain, but now we are officially in central Spain. We are coming up on Toledo. We're about 3 hours away, so we've still got a ways to go, but we have made good progress. We've eaten lunch, we've gotten gas, and it's just smooth driving till we get there. Kind of alarming how many insects you tend to hit when you're on the road with a giant front windshield. We just rounded a bend and the city of Toledo is right in front of us. And it's so exciting, it looks beautiful with that big cathedral and big fortress castle thing. This is a lot that is right outside of the old city, and it was highly recommended on our little app, Park for Night. And we see some other campers here too, so we know it's good. We are now walking to find dinner and internet simultaneously, hopefully.
Internet! So we are here in Toledo, a town that all the way across the ocean in Puerto Rico. When I grew up, we heard about Toledo because they made the best swords. I wasn't sure if that was just, you know, Puerto Rican folklore talking. And then we looked it up on Wikipedia, and apparently the swords from here defeated the Romans in the Second Punic War, I think it was called. But it was 200 and some BC. Their steel swords were like the best. So they kind of created a lot of history and fame. And 2,000 years later, we still know them as the best swords ever. Now, honestly, the hardest part of today was getting out of our sleeping bags because the van was freezing. And I think tonight I'm gonna sleep in a sweater.
So as you can see, it's not a very beautiful day. It's very foggy and gray, but that's not gonna stop us. We only have one day here, so we're gonna be going into this beautiful city and seeing it in all of its glory, wrapped in fog.
I'm very excited because this is the factory of the last authentic, like for generations they've been sword makers here in Toledo, and he makes the original type of Toledo steel, which is the one that made Toledo steel swords so famous. So sadly, all the other sword places you see for sale and all that stuff, they're all fake swords, they're machine made, they're not actually from Toledo. This is the only place that they're real. Gracias. So it's the weekend, so no one's here working today because they only work Monday through Friday. La empuñadura.
Sí, toda la parte de la espada se monta. Y entra por aquí.
The swords that are currently in fabrication. So we're here with Mariano Zamorano, who is the last sword maker in Toledo, of the original sword makers of the Toledo steel. So how long have you been making swords?
For me, 55 years ago, is the working here. The factory is there from my family.
How long has the factory been here?
My factory is here 90 years older. It's a 3 generation working here.
Wow. And about how many swords do you make a year?
Pardon?
¿Cuántas espadas hace cada año?
Depende model. 200.
Wow, nice. About 2,200 swords a year. ¿Cuánto tiempo tarda para hacer cada espada?
Depende model. There are swords in necessary only 12 hours.
Okay.
There are daggers in necessary only 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
But there are the other swords in necessary 60 hours. Depend. Mira, for example, there are one model, the Cruzadius. Cruzadius is a one sword simple.
Yeah.
In necessary 10 or 12 hours for the making.
Yeah.
But the difference between the other repair is necessary 60 hours for to making a one sword. Because the handle is very masterpiece.
Yeah. And for the viewers, how can they tell a real sword from like a cheap mass-produced fake sword?
The difference between the real sword is the making by hand with the hammer.
Okay.
It's necessary to buy to the hammer is the making after the temple, the other temple, because it's necessary two temple for the one good.
Okay.
The industrial is the making to cut, no is making in force.
Okay.
The blade is to cut in a one machine,
Yeah.
and after it, without the temple, only one the decoration.
Oh, okay. So
No,
pretty much the
possibly
mass-produced ones, they just take a blank and like they shave them to shape, where you guys beat them into shape. Que la máquina lo hacen que cogen acero y como lo pulen, lo cortan al dimensión. Cuando ustedes lo machacan a dimensión con martillo.
Sí,
Oh,
claro.
sí, ok.
Si se nota, hay diferencia. Mira, por ejemplo, ahí hay espadas que están hechas a máquina.
Yeah.
Son todas iguales. En
Yeah.
cambio, las que hacemos a mano, ninguna es igual. Y tienen golpes de martillo.
He was saying that the machine-made swords, they're all identical. Every single one is the same because it's a machine that made it over and over exactly the same. Where the handmade swords, they actually have little divots in them from where the hammer struck with different forces and different strengths because it's handmade, so no two swords are identical. So he was telling me that to make the image, the engraving, what they actually do is they paint on a varnish that protects the steel from the next step. So they paint the image on the parts that are shiny, and then they do an acid bath, and then all the exposed steel that doesn't have the varnish on it, that gets eaten away, and then you get the image left in relief. Engraving is a lot of times more expensive than the blade itself. Sí, muchísimas
De
gracias.
nada. Mira, ves, mira, si las patas.
So we have arrived here at the Museum of Cheese, Museo del Queso, Manchego. I'm really excited. I love Manchego cheese. I've been eating it for years in the United States, and now I get to experience real Manchego cheese from the area where it's actually made. Here at this museum, it's like a little museum that tells us a little bit how the cheese has been made in the past and is made now, and then we're gonna be able to do a tasting, like a flight of cheese. This is the ultimate day. This whole region is called La Mancha, and it was named that by the Arabs. La Mancha means waterless land. And as we were driving here, we did notice it was very bleak. It was a totally dry, rocky land, all in this area, this region. And so it was perfect for pastures and pastures of sheep. And so they've been using the sheep here to make Manchego cheese since the Iron Age. That's over 2,000 years ago. The sheep that they once had here are thought to be ancestors of the modern sheep. So very, very similar sheep and very similar cheese, therefore, as the cheese and sheep that we eat here today. So here's Spain, and this is the area of La Mancha. Toledo is right here. So the reason the cheese in this region is so unique is because of that climate, that very dry and harsh climate that they have here. It only promotes the growth of very tough plants, which is the entire diet of the sheep that live here. And so in order to properly produce Manchego cheese, you need your sheep to be eating this very specific diet, which is why Manchego cheese can only be found in this region. Both?
So usually we're always going in the churches, but we found a synagogue in Toledo. So we're here in the oldest synagogue in this area.
Well, it's very interesting because this building is a synagogue and was built in the 1300s. However, during the Spanish Inquisition, it was transformed into a Christian church. So very little of the original synagogue is left. But here we have the burial tombstones that all have Hebrew all over them. So obviously this is part of the Jewish heritage that has remained.
The day that we met, I'll never forget. I knew from the moment she spoke that she was destined.
This is a 12th century synagogue, and we're gonna go in.
And all through the years, the joy and the tears we shared as the greatest of friends. But she was destined to be my favorite regret.
Well, we finished our day here in Toledo. We could be here forever, but we need to get going to Madrid, so we're going back to the van now.
To talk to her all through the night, but a part part of me mourns what will never be born. Forever my favorite regret.
Some people really should think about what they name their hotel, because that place is called a bad hotel.
We're here in our favorite European grocery store, Lidl. It's a German grocery store. We were introduced to it in Portugal, and we found that they are everywhere here, which is excellent because they have great sausage, and altogether the food is really good. We've come up with a plan where we only buy one meal a day, and the rest we cook to save money. So we've already bought lunch today in Toledo, which means we're gonna be cooking our dinner tonight, but we have no food, so that's why we're here in Lidl.
So what you making for dinner?
We're having some raviolis, and we're adding some sausages to said ravioli to give it some meat and substance.
Cooking in a van. Cooking in a van.
Never thought I'd do this. This is not how I saw my life going. Ever. Not that I ever expected to live in wisdom either. I'm gonna do it like this. Next.
Looking good. Graceful. Do you have your iPad?
It's up there.
Broken wing, it didn't last a spring. You shoved me out before the nest was gone.
Would you like to tell us about this place?
I don't know anything about it.
Couldn't fly.
It was even bigger than I would ever have imagined. It was so cool to see it in person. We're here in Bilbao for only one day. How come no one told us to come here? Everyone's like, go to Madrid, but this is way cooler.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.
And if you'd like to follow our journey in real time on a map, receive postcards from our ports of call, and message us directly to the boat, you can go ahead and become a patron using the link in the description down below.